into the mind, traveling to the other side. Let the mind slip back through the crack in the wall. Enter the temple. Let the mind slip back through the crack in the wall. Enter the temple.
Hello and welcome to Radiant Spirit. I'm Jennifer Gibbons, and this is Radiant Spirit, podcast about self-love and living your most authentic life. And I am really excited to announce today I'm joined by Jen Madrone here to talk about her new book coming out, Uprising, Surviving and Thriving in a World That is Waking Up. We need this book. This is amazing. Looking so forward to reading it and hearing all about everything you've got to share. So welcome, Jen.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here talking with you today, and just so excited to be sharing and talking about fun stuff.
Yeah, thank you. So Uprising, Surviving and Thriving in a World That's Waking Up. And I was able to read a little bit about this, and I am so excited. And it goes without saying that we are very much in alignment with being fully aware as to how quickly things seem to be speeding up. People are waking up at a rate that our world has never seen before. So I love that is captured clearly in your book. And yeah, I'd love to hear what do you got to share about this?
So much. It's been such a journey. I, first of all, never really thought that I'd be publishing a book, but as things unfold and happen in life, and I just tend to follow wherever I'm led, one thing leads to another. I was led to write this book after a series of events. And so it really has been a labor of love, and also a result of years of work that I've done with people who are going through the awakening process, many of them who had no idea what was happening in the moment. And, they looked online and they looked for help and they found me. And I was blessed to work with a lot of people through this process, and then was led to okay, you need to put this all in a book so that more people can access it, because this is something that is happening faster and faster and faster and faster. And it's been so fun to watch. And it's what gives me hope, because the life is so crazy. The world is so insane right now. But I can see the higher purpose of it, and seeing that it's leading to this crazy unfolding and planetary awakening has been such a gift for me. So I'm really grateful that I get to share this work and this information, and just feel really blessed by everyone that I've worked with who contributed to what's in this book. So, this is something that I brought into being, but it's not my work. It's a combination of the personal work that so many people that I've gotten to work with have, contributed the way that they've contributed. And of course, like we talked about earlier, we're constantly channeling. And so this information is coming from spirit. It's my words, and you'll see my personality in the book, but it's not me.
I love that you address that, because I truly feel that that is such a crucial part of the human experience, is understanding that we are spiritual beings and we are constantly channeling. But here, having this human experience, we get to create, and we get to take whatever energy is channeling through us and create. And to see that you've created this, and just I'm really excited because you mentioned there was some things I wrote down last night when I read the script about Uprising. And I personally had some pretty crazy awakening experiences that for me has led to well, first off, it led to my sobriety, which was crucial,
Mm.
and then led to me helping other people struggling with sobriety. And now I have a book in the works, which is, it's a
Yay.
baby, but
Mhm.
talking a lot about my crazy spiritual awakening, which,
Mhm.
in a 12-step program, they say that's the last thing to come. And I jokingly say I did it backwards because my spirit guides came through and smacked me and said, listen, lady, you are fogging your third eye with alcohol. It needs to stop now. And since then,
Mhm.
those I used to call them spiritual downloads when I was still not so comfortable with my psychic abilities.
Mhm.
But now fully embracing that, oh no, these are psychic messages that are here to help me, and sometimes help others. So, uh, yeah, come to terms with that. But
Exactly.
the events that happened leading to that, I very much thought I was going crazy. And fortunately, it
Mhm.
did lead me to my therapist, who very much is also a medium and has been able to hold my hand through that process. Um, but man, I thought I was going crazy. So I'm really
Mhm.
curious to hear and I don't want, of course, too many spoilers. We're all going to buy your book, of course. But are there any experiences that stand out that you want to share that were just kind of out of this world or feeling out of this world?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for sharing that story because it's so beautiful and it reflects the story of so many people. And when people are going through that, they don't understand that they're not losing their minds, that they're not going crazy.
Yeah.
And so to hear other people's stories is so important to see that there is this higher purpose to all of the crazy shit that we go through in order to break free of the illusion, in order to really connect with who we are beyond the ego, beyond the mind. And so that's why I used quite a few stories from myself and from clients in my book, because I want people to be able to relate, to see that, like, okay, it's, I'm going to get through this, whatever I'm going through. People have experienced similar things and they've not only survived and come out the other side, they've also been able to use it as a superpower to
Yeah.
launch them into the next phase of their life, just like you did. So
Yes.
that's
Oh,
so
that's so
beautiful to hear.
important. I love it. And while I've read a lot of books, especially around that time, I was kind of just filling my brain with everything sobriety related, lots of
Mhm.
I kind of did it alone for the first 4 months, and it was during COVID. So everything was shut down, locked down. There wasn't like I could go to a meeting or something like that.
Yeah.
It was my therapist working with me and helping me. I eventually did do the 12 steps, and that of course helped me get honest with myself, all of those sort of things. But the crazy spiritual downloads that were happening, and where my guides were coming through and making it so clear, I would say that was more powerful than the program as far as keeping me in alignment with getting me where I need to be right now and where I am now, but getting me out of that fog. But the things that were happening, if I did not have, especially during lockdown, if I didn't have my therapist confirming for me that I wasn't losing my mind, uh,
Mhm.
I wasn't getting the literature to confirm, and where I was seeing those experiences mirrored back. So I was really thinking I was losing it. So
Yeah.
I can see where Uprising and sharing these crazy stories can help so many people that are experiencing the same things and experiencing them at rates that, again, like our world has not seen an uprising, a mass awakening like this ever. Or if it has, it's been years and years and years before any lifetimes that we've seen. So,
Right.
I mean, not to get into past lives or whatever, but it's been a long time since the world has seen a
Mhm.
transition like this. So,
Absolutely, I agree, and it's really interesting that you mentioned COVID and that happened during that time period for you. Um, so to give you a little backstory on how all of this evolved was that before, a couple of years before COVID, I was happy seeing clients in person. I was just doing my thing. And I started to get this nudge that I should be teaching classes online. And like I mentioned to you in the beginning, like me and technology, weren't really a great fit. And so the idea that I had to start, learning how to do that and teach classes online was super intimidating, but I was like, okay, let's do it. And I just slowly started exploring, and I found a teacher and started developing this. And about a year into it, where I hadn't really even started teaching yet, I was still, you know, learning all of the ins and outs and figuring out exactly how I was going to do it. We went into lockdown. And that's when I realized, oh, this is why I was supposed to teach online. Like Spirit had my back, Spirit was, covering my ass, like, okay, you're not going to be able to see clients in person anymore. So here you go. And so it was such an amazing feeling to realize, like, oh, I get it. And I trusted. And the fact that I trusted led to this bigger understanding. So, anyway, while I was doing the work of building a platform and working with my teachers, it was kind of, it was brought up basically through a series of meditations and working with different people that, okay, that what I'm supposed to be teaching is helping people through the egoic death process and the
Mm.
awakening process. And that really shocked me because I thought that I'd be doing something a little less edgy, maybe. And so as soon as I found out I was supposed to be teaching about egoic death on Facebook, I was, I had mixed feelings about it, but I kept going with it. And I found that during COVID, there were so many people going through the awakening process. Like I could see even before then that there was a quickening happening,
Mhm.
but COVID just blew it open. It just blew it open that there were so many people awakening, and some of it was directly due to what they were experiencing around the quarantine, around the pandemic, around,
Mhm.
losing jobs, losing money, losing family members, all of the trauma involved in that
Mhm.
was a perfect storm to create an awakening for many, many, many people. And so I did find a lot of people having COVID awakening experiences and then looking for help and guidance through that, and even if it wasn't directly related to COVID, the energy of what was happening on the planet was the perfect storm to help propel people who were kind of on the edge
Yep.
of that awakening, probably similar to you,
Oh yeah.
and just push us through that portal,
Yep.
sometimes not so gracefully.
No,
So,
it's definitely it's chaotic, it's ugly, it's messy, it's
mhm,
yeah, like the term spiritual awakening. It feels all like tingly and pretty and
right.
beautiful, but oh my God. Like buckle up and hold on. It is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so that's also why I wanted to write the book. It was interesting. I was talking to my sister and I let her know that I was writing a book, and she's on a different, my family is on the East Coast, and so they don't fully understand what I do, but they are
Ah.
supportive. And so when I told her I was writing a book about spiritual awakening, she was just very skeptical. And she was like, well, what does that mean to you? Because there's so many different definitions now. And it was a really good point. And it's actually a big reason why I wanted to write a book about it, because, and of course this is just my perspective and my experiences, but there is a lot of misunderstanding about what it is,
Mhm.
and there is that understanding that it is like a this great spiritual upgrade that is like feels super good and woo woo, and you just like all your problems go away and now you're enlightened, you know? And it's not the case. It's
No.
not the case at all. And now with social media, we have, the term woke being thrown around, and we have so many different ideas about what spiritual awakening is. And it's not until you go through it that you can really understand what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
That's so true. That is so true. And again, I'm so excited to, just to know that your book is coming out. And yeah, I know our household, my partner Matt and I are, yes, yes, can't wait till it's out. We need this. Uh, but yeah, just to have your experiences, and I'm really excited to read about dying before you die, the death of the ego.
mhm,
I am
mhm,
just, yes, I am captivated by what is going on here. But that seems like a better explanation of spiritual awakening in itself,
mhm,
because spiritual awakening gives it this feel that it's like, yeah, like sprinkled with fairy dust or something like that.
mhm.
It is definitely not. It is
Right,
learning how to die before you die, and having full
exactly.
acceptance. Yeah.
Yeah, awakening, it is a rebirth, but we have to die before we're reborn.
Oh
And
yeah.
so the term spiritual awakening can be misleading. It should be like spiritual death and awakening,
Yeah.
because you can't have one without the other.
Nope.
Mhm.
Yeah. I feel like I'm trying to think in my mind of like, what is there a better term like to really describe, like, can we throw a train wreck in there somehow? Because that's kind of what it's like.
Right.
Be prepared.
Yeah, exactly. It is often a personal train wreck, and it feels like having the rug pulled out from under your feet.
Oh, absolutely. It
Mhm,
like it really, it's what I see of it though. It's like for myself personally, it was essentially the universe, like me being on this trajectory path that was not in alignment with my highest self. And the universe just kind of took the carpet I was standing on and went whoosh, and whipped it. And my whole life just went and but it got me right on track. But what it looks
mhm.
like in my life and what it looked like on paper was a disaster. Although the funny thing about it, and where like my book idea came from was like, wow,
Mhm,
even though where my life was on paper before this was like perfect and all aligned and all hunky dory, what I felt in my heart was misery. And then
mhm.
the situation turned and my life on paper looks like a hot garbage mess, but in my heart I'm like, so
Mhm.
I'm doing great, I don't
Yeah.
care.
Exactly, and that really is the transition that happens during the spiritual awakening, that we move from this outer reality, this mind-centered reality, this ego-centered reality, into this inner focused, heart-centered, aligned reality, aligned with who we truly are. Because
Yeah.
until that moment, even if we've done a lot of work on ourselves, even if we've adopted certain practices, if we are not truly connected with who we are at the root and have gotten rid of those things that block us from ourselves, those things that we believed we were, those illusions, then we're still going to feel like something's not quite right.
Yeah.
There's still something there. And that's when spirit steps in and finds that crack, whatever it is in our reality, and pushes itself through and says, okay, it's time. It's time to let go of the illusions. It's time to let go of who you thought you were, what you thought this world was, how you thought it operated, what you thought you needed, everything you thought you knew about life and reality. And let's get down to the nitty gritty and see what's really there.
Yeah. I like, yes, absolutely. I'm just like seeing like how people's worlds can be shattered. And sometimes that's what it takes
Mhm.
to crack through the bullshit and be
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, this is all an illusion. What you
Mhm.
think you are supposed to be, there's a reason it doesn't quite feel right. I know for myself, like again, like I'd mentioned, it was on paper, everything looked great, but on the inside, I was miserable. I'm like, oh, I'm leading the life that was what I assumed was expected of me.
Mhm.
It was never put in words. I just
Right.
assumed, oh, this is what I was raised to be. This is what I should be. I'm obviously doing the right thing, even though on the inside I was just dying on the inside. So thank goodness for the universe shaking things up, even if it's
Yeah,
not pretty.
exactly. Exactly. And it really usually does look like a destruction,
Yeah.
complete destruction of our lives. Because if things don't get shaken up to that level, we as humans, we like comfort. We want to go back to comfort. So we'll just easily, maybe there's a little hiccup in life and we'll move through it and we'll just go right back to our old habits, our old beliefs, our old behaviors until things really get shaken up, until things get taken away from us, until we are forced to let go. And that's really why, from my perspective, why awakening is often very traumatic or the result of a traumatic incident or event or time period in our life, because it has to just shake everything loose and crack it and break it all so that we couldn't put the pieces back together if we tried. That
Yep.
we couldn't even go back if we wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I'm really excited to hear the stories. I'm sure I'm going to see so many mirrors in it, as
Mhm.
will I'm sure anybody whose hands it gets into, because
Yeah.
as you and I both know how the universe works in its magical ways, it will get to the people that need to read it. It
Mhm.
just will. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I love that. And I'm excited because I see that you have a whole chapter about the tools. And I'm a big fan of tools. I like to call them jewels in my jewelry box, bling bling. And I'm curious if you have any like a favorite tool that is your go-to when you feel triggered or whatever.
Um, well, as a sound healer, my tuning forks are probably my most used tool for myself, for like my own growth, my own healing, my own just maintenance. So tuning forks are um, kind of like my emergency kit.
Yes.
I'll just grab those. But on a day-to-day basis, and I do end up using those almost daily, but
Now, may
meditation
I
and
Oh, sorry. I just didn't mean to interrupt, but a question about the tuning forks.
yeah.
As I've told you before, I'm getting into sound healing and feeling very
Mhm,
naturally drawn to that. Makes a lot of sense for my past and everything. Yes, music is my thing. But just
mhm,
the sound, the vibration. And I ordered a set of tuning forks. That's for all of the chakras, and it's 8. So
mhm,
2, one for the upper and lower heart chakra, but
mhm.
yes.
Nice.
And I do different things with them. Sometimes I just like to wave them by my ears, but sometimes I like to put them
Mhm,
on my body.
mhm.
How do you use your tuning forks?
So, our first question, are your tuning forks weighted? Do they have the little weight
Yes.
on the end? Okay, perfect.
Yes,
Good.
they do.
So those are definitely made to put on your body and to listen to, of course. Um,
Because it
but
feels
that's
good.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have the planetary set. So my forks are tuned to all of the different frequencies of the planets. And so I mix and match according to what I want to accomplish using the different frequencies. And I will do the same as you described. I will listen to them and put them on my body. Part of the system that I was trained in uses the acupuncture points and meridians. So I can put the forks on certain points to, calm the nervous system, to ease pain, whatever it is that I'm looking to do. So the tuning forks are really special to me, and I use those a lot.
Oh, I
So I'm
love that.
excited that you have a set too.
I do. And it started with I have three separate tuning forks. One is specific. It was the first one I got, and it was tuned to the frequency of love, and that's
Mm,
why I bought it. And
hmm
then I bought two more later down the road that are really deep
hmm
tones. They're deeper than
Nice.
anything in my chakra set. And then the
Uh-huh.
chakra set of 8 is the newest, the latest and greatest.
Oh, nice. Yes.
But I just play
Yeah.
around, whatever feels
hmm
right and good in the moment. Yeah, don't know officially what I'm doing with those. So I'm excited
Yeah.
to learn more about that coming up in the spring with you. I look forward to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. It'll be fun to have you in class.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to learning from you. I've always really enjoyed your sound baths that you offer. So
hmm Yeah. It'll be good. Yeah, so those are really one of my main tools, so sound in general. But on a daily basis, meditation and breath work are two tools that I use every single day to start my day, to really just get me aligned. And really, it's a non-negotiable in my life these days, is that, it used to feel like meditation and breath work were kind of like a privilege in a way, and I don't see it
Mhm.
that way anymore. I see it as absolutely a necessity um, to just navigate this crazy overstimulating world that we live in. And so in that chapter in my book, I do talk about meditation, I talk about breath work, I talk about sound healing. I also talk about plant medicine, because
Ah,
that's a tool that so many people have used to that has either um, catalyzed an awakening, experience or process, or has helped them through the process. And so that's another tool that I they talk about quite a bit in the book.
love that. And I
Mhm.
think I did glimpse something about that. I don't know if you're aware, but that is the first branch of the healing tree that I studied. So I'm actually clinically certified
Oh.
and herbal medicine, talking with plants, connecting with plants. That
Mhm.
is actually how I meditate.
Oh.
I sit with my tree and put my hand, well, one of the many ways, but I
Uh-huh.
like to put my forehead and my hands on my tree and wait for those
Mm.
messages to come in, uh,
Yeah,
or just talk to the trees. Freaking love
I
it.
love that.
Um,
Yeah,
but yes,
I
herbal
love
medicine,
that.
that's my jam. I got to study with Krista Sinodinos in Fieldbrook. So,
Uh-huh.
um,
Nice.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I love we live in this area where there is so much that you can learn from people all around. We have kind of
yeah,
a saturated area of healing knowledge here. That's just
absolutely.
awesome.
Absolutely. When I first came to Humboldt, like 25 years ago, I was doing massage school. And then I started at the Dandelion Herbal Center, and I did an herbal program there. And so that definitely helped launch me into my studies of alternative medicine and alternative healing, and just opened a lot of,
And it's Jane at the Dandelion School that you studied with,
mhm.
yes? Jane
Yeah,
Bothwell. I love it.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, she's amazing.
yeah.
So, yeah. And what I talk about in the book is more psychedelic plant medicine.
Oh,
Um,
lovely.
and not as much just herbs, but the role that things like ayahuasca and
Yes.
iboga can play in the awakening process. And I found that really important, because in the Facebook group that I developed, that is specifically for people going through the awakening and ego death processes, there were so many people asking about it, and so many people that would have experiences with plant medicine that would either catapult them into an awakening, help them through the process, or bring up issues and problems that were really hard for them to understand and to process. And so I feel like having some grounded um, information about the various plant medicines and sources, and um, just the importance of finding the right pathway. If that's something you're drawn to, the importance of not just going to the first person you find on the internet,
Yes.
and really doing your homework, doing your due diligence, and only going if you feel led. It's not for everybody,
Yeah,
but it can be a really powerful tool. And
absolutely.
so I cover that in the book as well, and put some resources in the back.
I love that you do that because there's such a stigma to that type of medicine. And,
Mhm.
like we're both like, if you're using herbal medicine at all, you would have an understanding of like these plants were put here to help us and there is a purpose for them. And when they are ready, or when this plant is going to serve you in your life, it will come to you. It
Mhm.
will. I've been getting a lot of like San Pedro has been talking to me for
Mm,
quite some time. I've
mhm.
never used the medicine, but that plant is calling me. And I'm like, I see you. I see you.
Yeah.
And,
I'm
I'm
not
looking.
surprised. It's such a heart opener. It seems like the perfect fit for you. It's
Oh,
such a
really? Again, I've
heart
never partaken in it,
centered
but
plant.
feeling um, very drawn to it. That plant talks to me in my dreams. And I was
Mm.
even gifted by my therapist, actually. I was gifted a little San Pedro baby that I'm growing,
Oh, nice.
which being
Yeah.
here in Humboldt is kind of
Mhm.
difficult to get that like sun that it wants.
Yeah, could
But
be tricky.
the energy behind it is,
Mhm.
and just knowing that this plant is here and that medicine awaits me. I'm excited to see when it's going to come to me because it will. They always do.
Yeah, they always do. Exactly.
Now, do you lead people in ayahuasca ceremony? Are you
No, I
okay?
don't. Yeah, I'm not trained in that. It's not, I don't feel called to do that work directly. Um, but it has been ayahuasca and iboga and San Pedro
Nice.
have, and medicinal mushrooms have all been a huge part in my path. And I don't know, I've learned so much on the way. In my earlier years, I took a lot of psychedelics, and then I took a break for a really long time, and I was hesitant to go into the realm of these medicines because I was like, no, I'm done with that. I want to reach these heights without that. And that was really important in my personal process to develop the tools within myself without needing substances to reach these places. And then I got to a place where I felt the call. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, now it's time. Now it's time to go back into the world of psychedelics in a whole different way, in a completely different way, out of complete respect, with strong intention. And
Yes.
the healing that I've received, especially from ayahuasca and iboga, and more recently, the call is working with iboga, is been really such an important tool. And I feel like the reason that these psychedelics are coming and becoming accepted in so many realms, in the realms of therapy, in the realms of healing. Johns Hopkins had that huge study that was done on psilocybin mushrooms. And I feel like the reason is that they do speed things up, and
Mhm.
things are being sped up on the planet anyway, so quickly. And so we don't have 10 years to spend in meditation.
Mhm.
We need the tools that are going to catapult our transformation a little bit faster. And again, they're not for everybody,
No.
but they are extremely powerful tools.
Yeah. And again, like you mentioned, it's not for everybody. I just like to highly encourage anyone listening, just tune into your body. If you have
Mhm.
any question whatsoever, is this for me? Is this not? And really, kind of a simple way. If you're really on the fence and thinking, I feel like this might be for me, but there's a lot of fear that comes up, maybe not, whatever. If whatever the reason, if there's any question, I'm a big fan of the lean test. So maybe, and even if you don't have that thing right in front of you, maybe something that represents that thing, or that plant medicine, whatever that is. Having that on one side, having the opposite or just lack thereof on the other side, and just seeing which way with taking a few deep breaths, closing your eyes, tuning into your body, just seeing which way your body leans. And if your body leans towards that plant, that medicine is calling you. And if it doesn't hurt to start with microdosing. You don't need to go balls to the wall right away, and freak yourself out. That's not necessary. But like an introduction to the plant. Just try with a little bit first, see how that reacts with you before going forward. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. And there is preparation that needs to happen leading up to having an experience with plant medicine.
And intention. You mentioned intention. That is so freaking important.
Yeah, it's so important.
To me, it is the most important.
It's absolutely the most important. And when I first started the work in my Facebook group, I kind of held back from mentioning plant medicine, mentioning psychedelics at first, because I didn't want it to become all about that.
Right.
But there started to be more and more questions about it, and people talking about this new trend of especially young adults to take large doses of psychedelics with the intention of causing an egoic death, basically. But it was not done with support. It was not done with someone holding space for them. It was done with this very which is hilarious, that it was very ego-centered motivation to cause this egoic death because they had in their mind what it would be, and what it would do for them. And it was cracking people's psyches, and really messing people up.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine trying to do something like that without some support. Even with support, that is not for everybody.
Exactly.
That is wow.
It's heavy.
I could see, you could like force a psychotic break that you may never recover from.
Yeah.
So
and
having
so that's
people
what led me
facilitate that. So important.
Exactly. It's so important, so that's why I felt called to start talking about this, start talking about, the proper, healthy, respectful way to work with these medicines, and having that container, having that person who is not only very experienced with the medicine, having direct training from hopefully someone. I don't know, I'm a big believer in the indigenous wisdom coming directly from the source, and so I tend to lean towards people who trained at the source, and
you're speaking my heart. Absolutely. Yeah.
They're held to a higher standard.
Yes.
In my experience, and so, one doing the homework to find that person and see what their background is, find out where the medicine comes from, and then just seeing if you have a connection with that person, because maybe that person has all the training in the world and you just don't feel a connection with them, or maybe they have less training than someone else, but you feel very strongly connected and directed to work with them, and trusting that.
It's so important. Again, just listening. And I feel like for myself, I can feel it in my body when I take the time to stop, pause, breathe, if something's right or if something's not right. So
exactly.
But going with what is right for you is so important in those experiences. So, or just with anything.
Yeah.
But with plant medicine, I sometimes joke that I have I like my plants and everything more than people, which I mean, I know you know me, like I love people too, but I really, really love my plants.
Yeah.
I give them all names and yeah, they are my babies. And so when it comes down to plant medicine, particularly something if you are really planning to do the spirit work and you're going to dive deep, the intention and knowing the source of the plant, the person providing this medicine is also in alliance with me as far as how deeply they respect this plant and the plant medicine and are honoring the ways that their ancestors and the indigenous people have provided this medicine before. So that's super important to me. I know some people, maybe that's not the most important thing, but for myself, and I just encourage everyone, just listen. What is right for you? Tune into your body. Your body will tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I love
exactly.
that you talk about it and like really break out of that freaking stigma. I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's so many pieces to this puzzle, and there's more and more pieces coming as the indigenous wisdom is being downloaded, is being made more accessible. These plant medicines that you couldn't find in the States 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You had to travel to get that there, and now they're everywhere, which is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because we can find something closer to us, but we also need to, like we were talking about, be careful about who we work with,
Yeah.
and do that. But one of the main things that I think is also really important to mention is that these tools are so helpful and so important, and having tools in our toolbox is essential, not just through awakening, but through the rest of our life as we continue to grow, as we continue to awaken.
Yeah.
But we have to remember that they are just tools, that they are just tools. They are not the path. They are just tools. They are not the goal. They are just tools. They're not what we're searching for, but they're things to lead us on the way. And I think, especially with plant medicine, but with other tools, it's easy to do that thing that we call spiritual bypassing. Is to is
Speak to this,
create,
please.
and it really is just creating a new ego that's a little bit prettier and nicer and more beautiful and kinder, but it just becomes the new identity. And it's often used to when we start to get freaked out about the deeper internal work that needs to be done, it can be more fun and feel more pleasant to really just fixate on our tools, whether it's meditation, yoga, plant medicine, tarot cards, whatever it is. We want to be careful that we're not using them to avoid the deep inner work, and even the idea of doing work can turn into spiritual bypassing. And there's a story in my book that I talk about that, like my own personal story. When I was working my ass off, there was so much that I was processing and moving through after my life fell apart, and then I was picking up the pieces, and I was so diligent about diving deep. And one day after a good cry, I was like, oh my God, I'm just so tired. I've been working so hard. And I told myself this story about, oh, you've been working so hard on yourself. Like, that's why you're so tired. And as the story formed, I also saw this picture in my mind. And I was running down a road, and there's my higher self running behind me, like trying to catch up and being like, wait, slow down, like just slow down for a minute. And in my mind's eye, I sat down on the curb, and my higher self sat down next to me. And I got a really clear message that even though I was still doing this work, I was still running from myself. I was still running with what was trying to speak to me, because I was fixating on all of these different things that I needed to heal. And not that those weren't important, and not that the work isn't exhausting, because it certainly can be. But at some point we have to just stop and check in with ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, okay, am I running from something right now? Is there
Yeah.
something that is trying to speak to me that I'm missing? And
Yeah.
so there's so many ways that we can do that spiritual bypassing thing,
Yeah.
and just
I
making
I can
sure
see
that
that in my
we
own,
check in.
like in my own story, how that played out. And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I received a very similar message.
Mm.
But it was, yeah, like slow your roll, girl. Slow your roll was exactly my message. But then I got to a point where I was almost being kind of complacent in my spiritual practice, but my heart wasn't necessarily in it. And for me, that's
Mm.
like, yeah, on the outside, I'm doing the work, but on the
Right.
inside, I'm half checked out, half like making my grocery list while I'm meditating.
Right.
It's like you can do all the things, but if your heart isn't there,
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you're kind of
And that
just,
can be an indication that it's time to change tools.
yeah,
It's time to do a different meditation or a different
yeah,
practice, or
mix it
start with
up. Yeah,
whatever it is that's going to bring you back to the present moment.
exactly. Thank you for mentioning that too. That's exactly what it
Mhm.
took for me, was switching it up.
Mhm.
Yeah, more body movement is what it took for me,
Mhm.
to be just to get more in my body. So yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that's constantly growing, changing, shifting, and all the
Mhm.
things.
Mhm. Exactly. It is just like we are, just like the world is, constantly growing, shifting, and changing. And if we get stagnant and we get too attached to certain things, something will happen to push us loose. And
Yeah,
it's not always fun or comfortable,
no,
but it is the nature of the universe. Is movement, is everything is in vibration, and that is movement. There's nothing stagnant about life.
no, absolutely not. That's so true. And I really just, uh, so much gratitude in my heart for knowing like the work and the energy that you put into this book, and just being able to put something like this out there, because like you said, so many people are waking up right now, and it
Mhm,
helps so much, like just to see reflections from other people's stories that we can relate to in our lives. Just it
mhm,
really, it's so helpful. It's so helpful. And those mirrors are what I know for myself, what gets me through the day and makes me just continue trying to be my best self every day, knowing that I'm not
mhm.
alone in this. And so I thank you. I really thank you for this. And I'm so excited to read it. When does this come out?
February 9th.
Woo! All right. Oh, I'm writing this.
Oh, about 3 weeks, I think. We're
Oh
getting
my
really
gosh.
close. It's super exciting and a
And
little
that's when it would
terrifying.
be available to purchase on Amazon? Or
Hmm. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it will be on some other platforms, but Amazon is what makes self-publishing possible. So I've had to heal my love-hate relationship with Amazon, and just I'm grateful that that platform is there, and that's the main one that I'll be using. And I did record the audiobook, so that'll be up at the same time as well.
Awesome.
So
Available
both
through
of them.
Audible.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Great. Woo. I'll be sure to include links to everything. So it's easy for
awesome.
people to find, just one click away. Although I don't know if that'll be available just yet. Uh,
Yeah, I won't have those until, I'm not sure if it's not going to be until February 9th or before. This is a new process for me, so I'm learning as I go.
so exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah, so exciting. I love, again, everything that you're talking about. And it gives me, again, the mirrors. It gives me a lot of encouragement to just continue on this path that I'm on, because there's a lot of roadblocks that come up. Sometimes it's super
Right,
discouraging. And
right, exactly. We all need it. We all need the encouragement, like no matter where we are in the process, beginning, end, middle, and there really is no end,
yeah,
continuing. It's like because this evolution is constant, we need each other. We need the help. We need the support. We need the inspiration, the motivation, the new ideas. All of it is what's propelling us forward together. So I'm so grateful for our community and for you and for what you're sharing with the world, and just to be a part of that just makes me really, really grateful.
Oh, likewise, likewise. It's truly an honor to know you, and just thank you again for your time, your energy, and again, like the mirrors. I'm so grateful for you showing us how it's done. Yes, I love it. Sharing those tools or jewels in your jewelry box. It doesn't matter what you
Mhm.
call them. Sharing
I love
that,
that.
just making the world a freaking better place.
Mm,
I love it.
that's the goal.
Well, thank you. You're freaking doing it.
Yeah.
You are doing it. I love it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
Yeah, when the book is out, you'll be able to find it on Amazon, but you can also, on my website, I'll have links, and all the normal places, Instagram and Facebook, and all of that will be more than accessible as it is these days.
great. And do you have a website by chance?
I do. It's jenmadrone.com.
JenMadrone.com. Easy peasy. Um, I will be sure to include links to that in this so people have no
Awesome.
problem finding you, finding out what you're all about and all of the things you have to offer because yeah, you're helping people and it sounds like you can do that from wherever they are in the world, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So awesome.
That's the beauty of technology.
Yay. Oh, well,
Yeah.
I love that so much. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer. Such an honor to be here with you.
Likewise. And I am going to take us out with some MC Yogi. Like we started in the
Mm,
beginning, this is Temples featuring East Forest.
mm.
Yeah, again, thank you so much, Jen. And taking us out, MC Yogi.
This is a journey into the mind, traveling to the other side. Let the mind slip back through the crack in the wall. Enter the temple. Let the mind slip back through the crack in the wall. Enter the temple. Let the mind slip back through the crack in the wall. Enter the temple. Enter the temple.